I don't know why that's turning off all the time. We're tuned in. This is WXYF 95.6. And this is the sound of the Macho Man. Yeah. If you're tuned into this now, yeah. This is the Macho Man. And the Savage. Coming out to you and saying, yeah, baby, you've got it. Yeah, baby, you've got it. Now for our next song, it's Beat It by His Lordship, Michael Jackson. A black on white man who made Morocco look cool. Just beat it. Just beat it. I never beat it to MJ himself. He's like a girl or boy, I don't know, a retarded elf. But he dances real cool and his voice is real smooth. Just beat it. Don't think about it, Mike. Just beat it. Okay. This has been the summer of the Randy Macho Man. Coming to you to WKX 95.6. If you're thinking that this isn't very sexy, I've got news for you. Shut up. It is sexy. You don't know what sexy is until I tell you. I want to tell you everything that sex is on planet Earth, from the bumblebees to the wild flowers and the zinnias and the orchids. First off, it's not about how a vagina looks. It's about how a vagina feels when you're sticking your penis in it. And you feel liberated from those inhibitions, which might otherwise draw caution from the many longings of choirs of angels. Content to let the fool rush in, along with millions of other little tiny fools, little representations of you. They're going to look a lot like the baby that comes out of here in 9 months. And after the judge may rule that you have to give her a sizable portion of your paycheck, in fact, more than you already give the government, leaving very little left for yourself. Ooh-hoo for you. So, here on WKRPX 95.6 FM, we recommend that if you understand something about sex, it's better to talk about it, have a hot bath, lay down on the couch, and think about all the money you don't have to give the most expensive prostitute you ever had. Life kind of strings like that. So, better not to give $250,000 to some child that fell in love with you on a birthday. And to look at the palms of your hands, sort of like the tablets of Hermes. Your best friends. The pillars of knowledge. Don't be so quick to retire them. It's sort of like a man's best friend. Because I'll tell you the scariest 2 words in the English language: Father's Day. Millions of what we do. We're going for the Sunday. They probably have to come in on Sunday class. I feeling sorry for them? I walk 10 miles a day, 8 hours usually, 9 hours in all conditions for no pay. So why am I feeling sorry? And the man goes home. Volcanicity under his feet. Byzantine cords living through his flesh. Knots in his muscles. Achilles and Agamemnon. The 2 is related to S, related to the sun. The 2 in the occult means the tone. It means critical relationships from nature to man's own mind, being one of where identity can function as wed with mutual annihilation, no matter how many other heroic labors can be undertaken in the name of every aim that humans think is better than jacking off in the bathroom to pictures of another. So sorry about that, but the number 2 is supposed to be a positive number, and as much as it is interestingly related to the sun, which by that estimation is like a pearl in the sun, and that is quite a lot of what the occult is about. The royal dominion of the world, which is the occult, military, and the financial nature of human culture. A range of persuasive influences which we call natural reality, because they're basically peons. The true extent of it. So, to the sun, natural relationships, which are not in fact built on self-annihilation, and cannot rightly be, but that they be worth suggesting to you, they are, as though the night divides the day and the day destroys the night. Division and destruction here being interchangeable. And then I'm suspicious. why this number continues to be religiously employed in all forms of subconscious entertainment. So, and the association, accidentally or not, by early feminist anthropologists of womb and tomb, in that the word woman itself has origins in the number two and or the tomb of man, or just that relationships, as they are primarily based on that of a mother to a child, are in themselves doomed. And how often the mother dies in media, so on and so on, and or children and or sacrificed or orphaned, right? Divisions which bring death or doom to the subsequent imagination of all relationships, and that they then become, like the various languages and dialectics offered to fledgling human beings, doomed and perilous and mortifyingly pathological, and or extremely profitable to some who remain in higher orders of denial, suspension of disbelief, and indeed an extraordinary amount of hard work that is sharpness in the business realm. So, I think you can just have your objections to the way humans like business. Good videos today. Walk home. Pleasantly stoned, actually, I would say. Needed out my dose experiment today. Could have done less, probably, but that's okay. Just a slight abdominal little blub, but that it's a little tight right now, but that's my job, to build greater security in life. I've set powerful new standards in my life, and now I just need to lift them out. You might think that one imagines too much for one's life, but every life, whatever it is a life people have imagined for themselves, or a life they imagine for themselves, and a life in which they imagine certain things or other things, or better things for themselves, in terms of what they currently imagine to be their purpose in life, or fit themselves into what has been imagined for them, and found commensurate gains in taking on various roles, that practical and industrial and essential and imperative as they may be, also serve to acquit them of their application to the stage, as it were, to have such a capacity to play certain roles as to be alleviated of certain pains that may be communicated more than there is a ready amount of words to put them into. And to me, nature told me to learn and to put things into words that make our people strong. So that's another little final dissertation, I guess. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And now the precipitation is lightened. It's amazing. It's like spring and winter. See how things turn out. Okay. I think that's pretty good today. I imagine it can better this tomorrow. I think I'm going to go into polygons. That's going to be cool. Yeah. Actually, I went to a phone call from Pentridge to stay in my voice. I thought, that's a good sign. And I think I'm a good sign to him, so it's like, ooh, it could be good signs to people. I like to be a good sign. Jesus, I need an easier life. But also, I've noticed that I've generated a certain amount of income in the last few days just by using my mind, and so I'm going to keep it in that vein of intelligence. I'm going to go to the gazebo, and then let's see how I see. The air is so fresh all day long, every day. Like, most people are spending a lot of time inside in cars. Like, compared to everyone around me, I'm getting more air. So it's actually that in itself is making me a lot healthier person. I get a lot of air. I don't have every luxury, but I have enough. I have a mother who loves me. I have no other relationships. I've never had a girlfriend. I've never had a stable friendship. And I've find myself the unfortunate recipient of a certain amount of sexual abuse from women throughout my life, it is to be left to be a very contentious thing to want someone to listen to or to even believe me. And but I guess it comes down to what is your purpose, and the purpose is for healing. It's always been that. And because I live with myself every day of my life, I believe in myself. I believe in my capacity to grow and heal by putting sounds to things that hurt. And that is, in some sense, a very surreal thing to want to do, depending on how you've been heard and in what society throughout time. So, even if you're like me, it puts you in a very interesting position. And one thing I definitely learned the first time I had clinical depression was that I was in a very interesting position to see to it that if I had some claim of happiness in this world, it would have some proportional interest in the happiness of others. And that I have the right to imagine my occupations of bearing that purpose, as much as I've learned to bear any kind of pain at all. And I'm sure I could prove to you I've borne enough pain in my life. Continuing, that I would add something, or at least relieve people of a certain amount of suffering in the imagination of my happiness, and the imagination of my occupations having some purpose, if they're to be occupations worthy of anyone in that regard. And at the very least, I've been relieved in my life of the assumption that my occupations are purposeful, whereas most people assume that all of their occupations have the highest purpose possible. And every religion in the land that occupies, attends every occupation in the world, that for anyone I can generate with thinking differently. So I think that's a good time to do that. We'll see you guys. It's cool. Like, seagulls don't sit on trees, but they will sit on very solid objects, like lamps and posts. Just something you might hear or haven't heard about seagulls. They'll sit on roofs. They'll ride the crests of roiling oceans and titanic storms and have the time of their life, but they'll roil around in the air in windswept gusts of Satan himself in the coldest ocean. But when they're on land, they seem to never be on trees or anything that wind can affect. It's almost like they balance out their time in the boiling energies of the ocean throughout the day or throughout the year, with when they hit landfall to sand on things that are absolutely not moving. Just to balance. It must be quite enjoyable to sit on things that don't have too much motion. And you'll notice that they're really quite pleasant, perceptive, intelligent beings. As much as you could think, as much as you ever spend time living in the ocean, of the forces of mind and emotions and the pains, the seagull have learned to ride without matriculating into any particular spiritual cult or renunciation. You have learned likely to ride the waves and lack only an imagination of your occupations. In as epic a fashion as the seagull has been set by nature in many fathoms of ocean surrounding us, and attributed to the gathering of our waters, and indeed the purifying powers of our own bodies, that they are commended to such substances to begin with, and have drawn out the flesh and blood of thy person from the sound and song of thy spirit, and that it shares a great place among that of the oceans and all the beasts thereof. So saith the Son of Man. I like to talk sometimes about animals and people and medicine. But yes, have we not also ridden this? That we have such a mind we can suffer so. Should we not be able to imagine our suffering to be somehow a commendable reference to medicine and strength? Protein. talk about maturity. There are retired men around here. My mom meets them. And they're well off and they have expensive cars or antique cars. And they think that the kind of car that they bought should somehow attract my mom's attention when nothing else will. And they don't even really like her. It's so infantile. I've met women who are such strong cougars that they resent the word infantile to describe any human behavior. Such a teeming multitude. Human, we stand at the ocean, nature, clouds, the sky. It's affecting everyone. It's our own flesh and blood. Plenty of great people have thought so. At least it was theirs. And though it be impossible for us to live in that ocean, our food swims in it. And many, many years ago, it basically jumped into people's boats. It was biblical. You could reach down with nets and just never stop drying out more fish. But did they waste their time? No. They learned the most efficient ways to fish with nothing like the technology we have today. And you know what? With all the technology we have out here, we routinely run out of fish. Isn't that interesting? And or, according to one fisherman, the fish come and go. It's part of nature. We need to learn that. And maybe the fish will want to come back. people don't need as much fish. We took more than we needed, and we didn't need everything we took. Or because we didn't need everything we took. And yet white settlers would have starved if native people didn't show them how to fish properly. This means that people are surviving for thousands of years. It's not like